Okay, episode 2 of Lessons in Freedom Now. Believe me, you have your freedoms now. If you don't have them now, it's because you have yet to understand where they're actually at. You've never had to ask yourself, where are my freedoms? What do I do to uphold them, to exercise them? That's what we do. They're in us, they're inherent within us, so that we have to exercise them. But right now, I'm going to talk about the proper definition of the word government. I don't care what country you're in. This word, govern, in Latin means control, and ment comes from the Latin mentis, meaning mind. So mind control. Now, a lot of people naturally default to what they believe government is, and they believe it's what is the tiny group of people that are administrators calling themselves government officials, that's government. Well, that's government on the macro level. It's actually a reflection of the collective consciousness of any country. What government really is at the level of cause is your own mind control. And I'm about to give you the weapon of mass destruction of all weapons of mass destruction, the Moab, the mother of all bombs, which is this. It's your own mind control. It's controlling the thoughts that are allowed to enter your mind. It's coming from a place of knowing. It's getting out of these eyes, because these eyes will always show you, duality. There's a storm happening. There's a crisis. There's a problem. But here, your third eye, or sixth chakra, is when it's opened, it's clearly focused on process. It's not a problem, it's a process. And as I said in the last video, no one can take your power without first getting your consent. That is an absolute requirement. So they've got to either bamboozle you, or they've got to, coerce you in some way, or put you under duress, threaten to hurt you physically, or some other way, blackmail you. They have to do something like that. But I can tell you one thing, that's how that person, regardless of what title that they carry, regardless of what uniform they're wearing, reveals that they're actually a criminal, a wolf in sheep's clothing. But this word government, the cause of it is we control three things. Here's how to get this situated in your mind so you have clarity on what you do, because again, when you know better, you do better. Doing follows knowing. It's this. We control 2 out of 3 things. I control how I act in every situation, and I control how I react to every situation. What I don't control is what comes up in front of me each and every day. The only guarantee I have is some nonsense is going to show up. I don't know what it is, and it's going to require me to use some combination of my 3 T's, time, talent, and treasure. Okay, it's like an equilateral triangle, and I'm going to have to deal with it. And the way I like to operate is I like to operate at the ounce of prevention as opposed to the pound of cure level. Because once you let something go and it explodes and becomes something really big, it's going to take a lot more of some combination of your 3 T's to deal with that little beast that's just popped up. But government, when you understand this, begins within your own mind, and you come to know the truth of this, that, hey, you control the first 2 things. That's a 66.666 into infinity stacking of the deck in your favor, which, by the way, this universe works in your favor. And everything is set up in the universe to work in your favor. That's pretty good against the 33.333 into infinity of that which you don't control, which is to say, whatever shows up in front of you, what I call comes up over the horizon every day. Now, once you become aware of that, and you stay aware of that, you begin to understand better how it is that no one can take your power without first getting your consent. You begin to understand better how it is that regardless of what country you're in, you have an unstated party, okay, that is really the party in power, which is the people. Because I went to law school, and I can tell you that there's a saying that a law cannot stand unless the people stand behind the law. Because that's ultimately, if a law is not serving the people and the good of the people will revolt, the people will ignore it. That's the number one way a law is made invalid, is people just ignore it. They just go on and do whatever they were doing anyway, as per the culture or the country or whatever. And it's nullification by non-compliance, by non-participation. And here in the United States, we don't call these things laws. They're only loosely, they're in like an envelope, a loose placeholder called laws, but they're actually called statutes and codes depending on the state. And there's a reason for this, because they're not laws. They're actually continuously changing policies that are based on states and their state constitutions, and they are valid for a certain period of time, but they lose validity over a certain period of time. One of the things, statute in my state actually had that women who got their hair cut short at one point in time in the 1800s was it was illegal. I mean, give me a break, so that was repealed. That was one stupid statute that was repealed. But anyway, so when you better understand government, you understand that if I control my mind, if I control what I consume with my eyes, I consume with my ears, and I stop listening to people who are trying to convince me, okay, the snake oil salesman selling me snake oil saying, well, you don't have any power. We are your overlords. We are your authorities. That's how you cut their legs out from under them. You don't give them an ear. You don't give them your eyes. You don't give them any of your 3 T's. You're off living your life, right? So when you better understand government, this is one of the most powerful things, the cause that will impact the effect of your actions, which in this case, what's been going on requires passive non-compliance in the absolute. In other words, don't plug yourself in. They need you. You don't need them. It's like saying you need cockroaches in your kitchen. Really? Seriously? Who needs that? And when you flip the light of truth on, we had cockroaches. I was in the South at one point of the U.S., stationed there, and we had these giant flying cockroaches, and you flip the switch on in a building, and you just see the cockroaches scatter. Believe me, people who are truly empowered and are operating from the center of their power and the truth of where their power, their freedoms, and their rights are, people who are really evil-minded and just really lost are like cockroaches that go scattering. This is why locusts will swarm on a field. They literally eat themselves to death because they have a tapeworm in them. That's actually why they die. When they're eating, they can't stop eating, and the tapeworm causes them to eat themselves to death. And that's why tyrants always eat themselves to death, because they keep laboring under this idea, because they think that they're going to control the world. They're going to control you. And they need you to buy into their bull crap in order to have any power, because they're blind to the truth of their own power. They got a giant blind spot, which is how they actually wind up hanging themselves. There's a story in the Bible, and it's the Jewish holiday Purim. It's Haman's gallows. Haman thought he was going to hang Mordecai, and he built the gallows, and he kept, he was plotting to hang Mordecai, but the guy who wound up hanging on the gallows was none other than Haman himself. And so their actions, so when you operate from an incorrect frame of mind, you always wind up self-negating based on your own blind thinking, incorrect actions. You just put your own self in what we call a pincher movement and just squeeze your own head off, basically. So I hope that helps a little bit more with clarify thinking, and will help you to better etch into stone some of these truths about your power. Hey, it's your life. Live it. Don't live it apologetically, live it unapologetically, because look, here's reality. My rights end where your rights begin, and vice versa. Your rights end where my rights begin. I don't have authority over anybody. I don't want authority over anybody because I'm too busy. I'm all in on just living freely. And I hope you are too. But I know that it's been very vexing and difficult and confusing because nobody is speaking at this level directly from freedom. Instead, they're getting tied up in all these events that are happening. And it's like Eleanor Roosevelt said it this way: small minds talk about people, mediocre minds talk about events, and great minds talk about ideas. Well, I can tell you for a fact that there is only one ideology in this world that is an absolute reality, that has always been a reality and will always be a reality. And there is one, and that is freedom in the absolute for every single human being on this planet. freedom. That is the only ideology. Because look, if a country is going to be reflective of the collective consciousness of its culture and has the right to freely operate however they want, just like here in the United States, we're all about the individuals living their best life, exercising their freedom. That's really what the true religion of the United States is freedom, free will. Run your best, live your best life, run your best race, make your life what you want it to be. And I hope you're doing that too. And I hope, again, you find this helpful. Again, click subscribe or comment anything else you want to know about. Also, the Gmail, if you want to send me an email, is lessonsinfreedomnow@gmail.com. Thanks. Have a good day.